Hello everyone, and welcome to our next Advisory of Women Entrepreneurs Spotlight interview. And I am so excited today to welcome Stephanie Calahan to the hot seat. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
And where are you calling in from today?
I am calling in from Central Illinois, specifically Bloomington.
Wonderful. So you're just a little bit down south of where I am at the moment.
That's right. If you're in Chicago proper, so I would say I'm probably 2.5 hours south, directly south.
Are you getting this cloudy, rainy, drizzly weather today?
No, actually, it's really, really hot. They are giving all kinds of warnings about stay inside, and the heat index is about 115.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you're in Texas or something. I don't know.
Right. I'm very, very grateful our air conditioning is functioning today.
Yes. Before we jump into the interview, let me give everybody a little bit of background about you.
Okay.
So, all right. Stephanie Calahan is the founder of Calahan Solutions, Inc., as well as a consultant and speaker. After applying her proven productivity methods, clients typically experience significant decreases in stress and errors, as well as significant increases in goal achievement and smooth business flow, which results in higher profits, which we all are gunning for. But she is not just a business owner. She is a wife, mother, community volunteer, and owner of one very active dog, who I hope we get to hear about. So she understands the demands of today's busy woman. So Stephanie, our productivity and organization expert, welcome to the interview.
Thank you. Thank you. And actually, I'm hoping the very active dog is currently right over there, napping. He is my company mascot. He goes with me just about everywhere except for client appointments. So I'm hoping we don't have a lot of interruptions that will send him yipping. So hopefully he'll continue to nap through this conversation.
Well, no problem. As people have witnessed since I've been in Chicago, and especially since I've been dog sitting, my parents have 3 dogs that I'm taking care of, plus my own. So sometimes we have a little bit of noise, but at the moment I have locked them away upstairs. So
very good.
They're going to be quiet. So Stephanie, please tell us a little bit about the catalyst that drove you in the direction of becoming a productivity and organizational expert.
Sure. Well, I'll give you a little bit of background. Before I started Calahan Solutions, I worked for a very large consulting firm in the northern Chicago suburbs. While I was there, I was what I fondly call a ladder climber. I wanted to get as high in that organization as I possibly could, as fast as I possibly could. And when I first started there, I literally went and met with a number of women that were at that success level that I wanted to be at. And I found out that there really wasn't a glass ceiling at that consulting firm. There was a mom ceiling at that consulting firm. So I actually had this strategy with my husband. We were going to hold on starting a family until I reached a certain level at that organization. And I did that. Before I left, I was in a position where I was responsible for about 300 consultants. And I also had I had the firm's largest account at the time with a Fortune 100 company. And life was good, but life was really hectic. Some people would joke and say my blood ran blue, the corporate colors were blue, because I spent more time at the company than I did doing anything else. Mm-hmm. And at the time that was okay because I had this goal that, I was a ladder climber. I was going to get really far, really fast. And I would say probably one of the detrimental things is that I was given more responsibility than maybe I should have at the age that I was. But for whatever reason, I had it and I was able to manage it, but I was able to manage it while working 80 or 90 hours a week.
Oh.
I really did eat, breathe, and sleep at this company to the extent that one of their benefits was free meals. And that sounded great, except for the fact that that meant you really were there for all of the meals. Mm-hmm. Work-life balance was kind of not there. And all in still, I was okay with that until I decided 2 things occurred. One, I had my son in 2001, and he has made me such a better person overall. Every day he makes me a better person. And two, the company that I worked for that was a privately held LLC became publicly traded. Mm-hmm. And that was really the crux of it all, in that when they went from being privately held to a public corporation, a lot of the corporate culture changed. And when I first started working for that company, their values matched my values. I was willing to work really hard for them because I really believed in what they were doing and the changes that they were making literally all around the world. When they went public, of course, like a lot of companies that go public, it became all about the bottom line. And even though they were an extremely successful company prior to going public, they now had different people that were identifying how to define success. And I started getting, I mentioned I had this team of 300 people. Well, we were on the most important account that the firm had, and therefore I was kind of fortunate because I got to cherry pick the people that I had on my team, and I really had some very, very strong performers. And the combination of that team with the company making overall just corporate culture changes, I was starting to be asked to do things that were not unethical, but were right on that line for me. And I had enough cases where I was up at night, just stressed and crying because I was stressed, saying, really, the things I'm being asked to do are not unethical, but they were so close to my line that I really wasn't comfortable anymore. And I felt that the more that the company's culture continued to change, the likelihood was that I would be asked to do more and more things that were either right on that line or potentially over that line. And I had a heart-to-heart with my husband and said, this just doesn't feel right. And we started talking about what the possibilities were. And I started Calahan Solutions while I was still with that firm, just kind of testing it out on the side, see would this really work. And the way that I had identified to go into this field was just looking at the things that I loved to do. The ways that I liked to help people that didn't feel like work, but everybody else said, wow, that's brilliant. That's the best place to be, is when you're working and it's not work. And so that's why I started this particular field.
Excellent. Well, and I can only guess that you by nature are a very organized and productive person.
Overall, yeah, although I will say there are some things I struggle with just like everybody else. I'm really fortunate in that I was raised by two amazingly organized and productive people, but they both are organized and productive in extremely different ways. So I picked up tips and tricks from both of them and watched what worked for one and what worked for the other, and kind of made what worked for Stephanie. But that also taught me very early on that there was more than one way to do things. And that's actually something that sets us apart in Calahan Solutions, because a lot of consultants will come in and say, do it my way and everything is perfect. And we don't believe in that cookie cutter approach. We really do believe that, everybody's different right down to your fingerprints, unless you're really, got something going with an identical twin. But, overall, we're all very unique in how we think, in how we learn, in how we process. And so our entire consulting philosophy is built around that, to help you identify what's going to work for you. So just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And so we want to pick the things that are going to make you the most successful.
That's so true. I think that whether physically or even mentally, the way people think and organize and structure and learn is so different. And I think it's fabulous that you really tap into those specific characteristics of an individual and work with them rather than against them. Because I think so often when people hire, as you said, somebody to help them kind of organize, structure their life, if it's a system that just is something that you buck against constantly, it's not going to be effective for you.
Well, and it could look great originally. A lot of people think about organized as something that looks pristine. Now, I'll say it's more about function than how it looks, but if look is important to you, then we work on that as well. But you can have all kinds of people come in and help you clean up. That's not what we're about.
Right.
Although things will generally look better when we're done working with you, we're not about the cleanup. We're really about helping your life function better so that you can focus on the things that are really important to you.
And it's setting up those systems, which, I think more and more entrepreneurs are finding that if they systematize their business across the board, everything runs so much more smoothly, and they are able, especially as solo entrepreneur, and we'll probably talk about this, they're more able to find the time to work on their business and the future of their business rather than constantly being bogged down in all of those nitty-gritty little tasks that can take so much time when you're constantly reinventing the wheel.
Oh, absolutely. There's one statistic out there that's really telling. They did a study and they looked at executives, but really executives can tie to entrepreneurs as well, and found that the average executive wastes 6 weeks a year just looking for stuff.
Wow.
Okay, so that's not talking about good processes in place or all the other productivity stuff that will help you about. That's just sheer looking for stuff. And, we're always talking about how we don't have enough time to do things. So if you can get good organization and then good business processes in place, you can reclaim all kinds of time. And then you really can spend that time doing things that are going to move your business forward. Or, if you're spending all kinds of time in your business, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs that I talk to, they are spending so much time in their business that they kind of lose that life outside of business, and they become a little unbalanced. And a balanced business owner is a much more productive, and businesses that have balanced business owners are generally more successful financially as well. And that's hard to see, especially if you're first starting your business. So getting all those things in place so that you can really grow your business and still have a life outside of work are really important.
Sounds like heaven, Stephanie. No, but very true, very true. And I talk a lot about, just the simple, get somebody to think very simply about it. Do you think you're going to be more productive if you're constantly working at 50% of your capacity because you don't take time for yourself, having that, you don't have that balance? Are you going to be more productive, burning the candle at both ends at 50%, or would you rather take, an hour a week or, 15 minutes a day or whatever it is for you, and be able to actually operate at 100% with far less time investment? So, I don't know. People just have to look at it very simply and just say, what makes sense.
Right, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your startup process. Now, you were still employed with the company you were working for, and I know for a lot of people that works very well. For others, it's a real struggle to find the time to invest in their business. But what was one of the, most challenging hurdles you had to cross in starting up your business, and how were you able to overcome that?
So I told you I was a ladder climber, which meant that I was, you could say I was very, very type A, overachiever. I can do it. You might even say I was a bit martyr-like in some ways when I was in my corporate position. And first of all, I had to get over that. I had to get into a position where mentally and emotionally it was okay to ask for help, or I wasn't going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that was critical for me to be able to get figured out when I started my business was, one, understanding what my skills were, what things I did really well. But the hard one for me and for a lot of other people was, what things don't I do that great? It's sometimes hard to admit what you don't do well, but it's critical because then you can fill in the gaps. None of us are good at everything. We all have things that we're great at and things that we're not so great at. And so being able to identify those gaps puts you in a position of power and strength, because then you can go and you can find people that have those skills that you don't and bring them on board.